Welcome to short highlights of this year's Tre Valli Varesine, the third of the Trittico Lombardo races that step our way towards the final monument of the year in this region, in Lombardia, at the weekend. Let's have a look at the course. It's based on the tried and tested Three Valleys route, a 20-kilometre ride northward to reach the edge of Varese, where they take on 8 laps of a 15-kilometre tough circuit, 2 climbs each time in actual fact as well, the Montello climb being the main one. The day started with a breakaway of 5 riders, including AJ August, Kevin Colleoni, Lorenzo Milesi, Davide Ballerini and Matteo Bais. We're looking at pictures here, though, of the remaining rider from that breakaway, Lorenzo Milesi, the Italian for Movistar, being caught by Egan Bernal. Egan Bernal, the Colombian road race champion, on an absolutely cracking form today as well, and really putting Tadej Pogacar and his UAE Team Emirates team on the back foot by being out front and looking so strong as well on the final of those 8 laps going up to the Montello climb and heading out onto the first of the Barasso circuits. By the time we got out there, climbing up and away from Lake Varese, it was Egan Bernal who was dropping Lorenzo Milesi. Milesi doing brilliantly just to stay in there. He was the only rider remaining from the original break of 5 anyway. UAE Team Emirates had put themselves on the front. It was Rafael Majka doing the chasing. And actually, it was Isaac Del Toro also getting involved, which meant we were starting to think this might be a day for Tadej Pogacar. You could see the world champion down there, freshly crowned world champion, of course, for the second time, and the freshly crowned European champion, Tadej Pogacar. But sensibly, other teams and other riders wanted to get on the front foot. It was the American champion, Quinn Simmons, who rode across to Lorenzo Milesi, and eventually the work of Simmons would bring Milesi and himself back in touch with Egan Bernal at the front of the race. I was looking at this point like UAE Team Emirates were being put properly on the back foot again, riders determined to get ahead of anything that Tadej Pogacar or Isaac Del Toro might try on the day. Brilliant job was being done by Rafael Majka of UAE Team Emirates, the Polish road race champion in the last few weeks of his career. Then came this attack here from Afonso Eulálio, the Portuguese rider for Bahrain Victorious. Snappy turn of speed to get away from the clutches of UAE Team Emirates and see if he could join the breakaway up front. These were little jibs and jabs, you see, as part of this battle to try and get ahead of UAE Team Emirates and what they might have planned. This was the bell passage of the line with 30 kilometres to go. One of the laps out towards the Barasso climb, and then one more half lap of the circuit they'd just done to finish on the climb itself as well. Well, an attack did come from behind, and it was actually after Victor Lafay had charged away by himself. Isaac Del Toro going across to him. They joined Afonso Eulálio out front, and Tadej Pogacar had neatly tagged on with that group too. Now, this was the chasing group going across to the 3 out front. You could just see the face of Egan Bernal looking round to see who was coming. Penny for his thoughts when they saw it was Tadej Pogacar and Isaac Del Toro as well. Now, Del Toro at this point looked like he might be in a support role there for Tadej Pogacar, despite what some people had expected coming into this race, that it would be a chance for Del Toro to be, if it were to be that way, the chosen rider for UAE Team Emirates. But they came onto the descent back down to the lake, and Tadej Pogacar was pressing on. In fact, he was pressing right on. Afonso Eulálio complaining maybe that Tadej Pogacar was using the slipstream of the motorbike as well, but it was right there. It was a closable gap. Quinn Simmons did his best to close the gap too. And I have to say, at that point, Group 2 syndrome started to set in. They didn't stop chasing, but the chase wasn't working. Whether it's a lack of tactics or a lack of ambition behind, or whether it's just the superiority of one of the greatest road racing bicyclists of all time in Tadej Pogacar, well, I'll leave that to you lot to discuss. It's probably a little bit of both. There were still riders, though, determined not to give up. Foremost among those, Tom Pidcock attacking, and he was being joined by Gianmarco Garofoli of Soudal-QuickStep. Tom Squinge also going with it, and we were having a very elite chase group that was forming. Primož Roglic was in there. Isaac Del Toro was back in there as well. Garofoli in really good form, as is Tom Squinge. And as you can see, there were a couple more coming across. Ben Tulit was coming across to the group too. And on the descent back down to the lake, the long descent back down to the Lago di Varese, it was Tadej Pogacar in very familiar time trial mode, tucking down and extending that lead, as you could see. The 48 second gap was back to that very select chasing group behind, and they were chasing a very familiar figure in Tadej Pogacar. And the chasing group was swelling too. They'd been fed by riders who'd come across from what remained of the peloton as well. Decathlon Agi2R La Mondiale had riders there in numbers too. But Tadej Pogacar just continued into the final 2 kilometres as well, solo by himself. Not the 75-kilometre solo that he'd made to win the European Championships just a couple of days before. If anything, by Tadej Pogacar standards, leaving it quite late in this race. But he was made to work for it. Ben O'Connor attacked late from the group behind. He was chased by Michael Storer of Tudor Pro Cycling. And we had a really big group boiling up for a sprint. But it was a sprint behind this man, Tadej Pogacar, who took his 19th win of the season. And with it, the 92nd victory for UAE Team Emirates this season too. A step closer to challenging to become the greatest Il Lombardia rider of all time in the final monument of this year as well. If he can do it, he'll be going 5 in a row on Saturday. This was a sprint behind. It was Albert Philipsen, the teenager, the 19-year-old Danish rider for Lidl Trek, cleaning up ahead of the rest, who were behind this man, who just continues this incredible form that we've seen from him all season. What a man, what a ride, what a result, and what a season too. They're going to need to think very carefully about how they go about trying to beat him on Saturday in this region, in Lombardia, for Il Lombardia on Saturday. You have been warned. And there's the top 10. Tadej Pogacar ahead of Albert Philipsen and Julien Alaphilippe, the podium finishers, ahead of a fast-finishing Paul Lapera. Thanks for watching and enjoy the run-in to the final monument of the season.